Hello, everyone. This is Marita, one who catches lightning, with the Path of Ish podcast, Walking with Our Shadow, where we share ancient indigenous teachings of remembrance, all so we can walk and learn how to walk a path of radical self-love. Hello, everyone. It's Marita, one who catches lightning, with the Path of Ish, Cuatro Manos y Cinco Volcanes Farms and Cacao. Teachings and products here welcoming you to another opportunity to sit in circle. Today we have an opportunity to sit with the concept of radical self-love. And I kept my window open so you could hear the coqui frogs in the background, because many times their song is not appreciated, and yet they sing with gusto, if you can hear. And the same is true about radical self-love. Not everyone here on this planet will know you, accept you, and love you. But that doesn't mean you stop being you. Now, of course, this is directed into the circle where we are accepting some rules of relationship. And that is the rule of society, of living in relationship with the other, trying not to create greater harm. But we must embrace the fact that harm might be part of our path. That in this walk of discovering who you are, you might harm others. And that is something we cannot deny. We cannot bypass the effects of who we are on this planet, to its creatures, and to each other. It sounds messy, doesn't it? This beautiful mess of creation, of how we find our way. There is not one way and one path to radical self-love. And people use different terms for it. But the reason that I use radical self-love is because this path is not an easy one. It is the path through the eye of the needle. It is the path of accepting and being able to look at all parts of yourself outside of your stories and your judgments and who did what, outside of pointing fingers and taking responsibility. No matter if you are feeling powerless, you have power. You affect yourself, your body, your mind, your essence. You affect the environment around you, and that ripple effect continues. You are not an island. We do not live in isolation. Even those who live alone cannot escape the effect and the relationship with themselves and with their surrounding environment. So many times we're so afraid of getting it wrong that we think that we exist in this bubble and we are untouchable. And then that's safe. But the reality is there is no bubble. There's only the path. Should you choose to walk it. Now, that bubble we can fill with silence, isolation, or we can fill with a lot of noise and distraction. Part of this distraction can even mean we accomplish things. We set goals and we manifest things. We use language and verbiage which we think is universal, but actually keeps us from not speaking truth. And in all of it, many times there are a lot of assumptions of how to be, who to be, and how you are in relation to sit in the middle of yourself, what you know and can perceive. And within that circle, have you reflected to yourself or your shadow reflected to yourself takes courage. Unraveling the stories that you come into the circle seeking to conquer or have knowledge or learn ways is an invitation not to get it right, but to allow yourself a journey of tripping and falling and getting up again and learning and growing and holding yourself with as much compassion as you can. That is why this path is radical. It calls for a different way of being. It is beyond self-care. And when people talk about self-care, it is beyond that. It's not just the doing of life, the care of your life, but can you look in the mirror, knowing all the stories that are looking back at you, and sit with that? Can you, in this journey, understand that at times you will harm others in trying to learn how to love yourself, in trying to find your freedom? The path of radical self-love is not about being perfect. It's about, at the end of every day and throughout the moment of your day, can you truly sit with all parts of yourself and work towards resolution? And sometimes that resolution, I did not say forgiveness. I did not say letting go of grudges. Work towards resolution. And that resolution might be you are unresolved. Many times that's where I find myself. Many times that's where many people find themselves. And as you continue that journey, maybe you will get a little bit more resolved. But resolution doesn't look the same for everyone. This way understands that it is a weaving of ways and different ways of being that will help you walk your truth. There is not one way, one path, one way to do things. The path of radical self-love is one that you weave from what you know, from what you do not know, and from what you are discovering about yourself, your life, your ancestry, all of the colors and choices and relationships that you have been in, whether you are conscious of them or not. And sometimes you will get it wrong. Sometimes you will think you have an epiphany and it is actually a projection. The question is, can you keep walking? Can you keep digging? Can you keep believing? Can you keep working? And not hold yourself above others. Not hold your truth sanctimoniously above others. Not think that your way or how you live is the right way. And know that maybe how you live is not how others would like to live. So why would you want to walk this challenging path that doesn't have boxes that you check or certifications promised to you, or one where you know you will trip and fall, or one where you know you epiphany might be a projection? It's because this path is wide enough to hold all of that. The discovery, the undiscovery, the revelation, the attempt, and the opportunity to accept all parts of your humanity and divinity, the good and the bad. And from that, make a conscious decision of how you will try to the best of your ability to walk in a good way, in a more honest way. This is not a religious path. This is not a path of closed doctrine. This is just a path where you face yourself honestly, bravely, truly. It's a path where you can lay down the burden of what you think you know and no longer need to carry it. Where you can lay down the burden of expectations of yourself. Where you can lay down the pressures and lay down your perception of the reality that you have built thus far that governs your life. At the end of you is the beginning of this path. The end of what you know is the beginning of this path. This path does not care where you were born. It does not care your status in society. It does not care what you look like or what you think you should look like. It has no costume to it. It has no one song except your creation song that you get to write and rewrite as a love song of yourself, rebirthing, becoming, and allowing yourself the opportunity of death. The path of radical self-love is a love song to yourself. It is an opportunity to be met with all of your stuff, all of the things and your perceptions that hold you back and keep you stuck in a story, for you to work through them. Here at the path of Ish, whether you are in a circle of jaguar tree or one of cacao, you are held and witnessed in this journey. And as you change, so does your song, just like we went from beautiful coqui frogs to beautiful rain, resetting and washing and clearing a place for us to grow anew. There is an amazing thing that happens when you are witnessed by the coqui frogs and the rain and Jade Pearl playing in the background and the bamboo and the pua kenny kenny and all of this surrounding me and all of the beings surrounded you as they witness your life. And as you allow other humans to witness you, it allows your song to be sung so that when you path, your story can be told and you can continue to inspire others because you chose that path of radical self-acceptance, the acceptance of you, your situation, the situation of this world, of the habits of humans and humanity and society, your part in it. And from there, without denying, without hiding, without escaping into the high vibe life, you sat with all parts of yourself and wrote your creation song and birthed yourself again in a truth that danced and walked with you as you continue to change and evolve, always having the opportunity to be witnessed and celebrated. Relations. Thank you, thank you, thank you for this rain. Thank you for the witnessing, O cloud people. Thank you for the witnessing of these words and this opportunity and this call for us to always begin anew, each moment and each day. Thank you, Coqui Frogs, for witnessing this creation happening now, and these words and these opportunities calling people to themselves. Thank you, thank you, thank you. This path is not abstract. It is very real and physical and material. It meets you every day in the big things and in the small things, and how you treat yourself throughout the day, the words that you speak to yourself, the words that you speak to others, and how you take your coffee, tea, or cacao, how you communicate, how you drive. This is not a path where you just leave knowledge or learning in books on a shelf, but you walk every day knowing that everything is medicine, whether it is easy spoonful of sugar medicine or harsh. We can learn from everything and everyone, and that is the lesson we are living. Our life is the lesson that we need for now. And one of those lessons might be that you become okay being resolved, that you are unresolved. Maybe your lesson is about letting go of perfectionism. Maybe your lesson is to continuously learn. We all call lessons into our lives. And one of the greatest lessons we can learn is that not everything is fair. That situations might be beyond the capacity that you have. And the lesson could be that you just show up as yourself to the best of your ability. And that is all. We all have stories. We all experience suffering on this planet. We must learn to embrace that, not as a path of martyrdom, but just it is what it is. And then work hard to try not to create more suffering for ourselves and for other beings. Why would anyone want to walk this path? You should ask my students. Why do I walk this path? It continues to teach me and provide opportunities to walk away from perception and delusion, to walk away from my stories and truly be, to look at what drives me and question it, to let go of what used to drive me. And it gives me hope that as I continue to learn, as I continue to allow my shadow to be reflected back by all of the beings on this planet, including humans, that I can accept them and learn from them, even though I might not like it, that there still might and is always medicine in everything. And as I continue to walk this path, I can embrace all parts of myself without judgment, without denial, to face my truth, to empower myself, to face my truth and my potential to be completely me, not to try and fit in, but to become medicine. So it is with that, we will do a short meditation. And so let us come back to this invitation to be ourselves, not because we are trying to fight the world, but but because we're accepting that we can accept ourselves truly and fully. So with gratitude, grace, and mercy, let us humbly approach Circle. And the guardians of the east, the south, the west, and the north, those above, below, and within, as we ask them to hold us in this meditation. And as we are invited in, let us invite ourselves and our parts in, leaving nothing outside. Taking our 3 breaths. First breath in and out through the nose. Welcoming our mind to this time and place. In and out through the nose, welcoming our body to this time and place. In and out through the nose, welcoming our essence into this time and place. And I humbly approach Tezcatlipoca, the god of smoke and mirrors, to reveal to us, to lift the veil of all the stories that we keep telling ourselves or we keep living in, that are holding us from an opportunity to accept, to change, to evolve. I ask Obsidian Knife Tijak to show us our shadow, our true reflection. And not others' perception or our projection of what they think. Owning that possibility as well. And as we allow ourselves, we give ourselves opportunity to embrace all of those parts, the ones that lie and cheat us of ourselves, the energies that run out in front of us trying to catch attention, to feel safe, or to be important, or our inability to know that we will harm. We will harm creatures and other humans on this journey. And anything that comes up during this meditation, if you need to pause here and go deeper, please do so now. And as we sit with all that we know and do not know, can we reach the end of ourselves at this moment, in this time, in this circle? Knowing we are always changing and growing. And for today, to the best of our ability, As we move throughout the rest of this day or this evening or night, whenever you are listening to us, can we ask ourselves, how resolved am I today? How unresolved am I today? And can I be honest? And with that invitation to honesty, that invitation to shine all your colors, whether you like them or not, we give gratitude and thanks to the circle, to all the guardians who held us, to Tezcatlipoca, to Tijak, to the guardians of the east, the south, the west, and the north, those above, below, and within, in whatever tradition you come from. As we close this circle, giving thanks to all who have walked this path before us of radical self-love and acceptance, whose medicine teaches us the courage of our humanity and our divinity interwoven in our body, our mind, and our essence. As we thank the Koki in the rain for witnessing us today, and Jade Pearl, who I think wants her own podcast. I give gratitude and thanks to all my teachers, all my relations, all who hold me in circleness and keep inviting me back to show up with all of my parts, resolved and unresolved, as I continue to learn, change, grow, and evolve as a being in relation to other beings on this planet, should they. I hope that you have a lovely day, evening, week, whenever you're listening to this. And I hope to see you in the circle next week, here on this podcast. And I hope to see you in one of our jaguar tree circles or our cacao circles, where we sit and witness each other become medicine. Once again, it is with deepest gratitude that I bow to you for joining me on this podcast, this episode, this circle, this plática, this meditation, this remembering. I hope that you have stayed curious. I hope to see you in the circle again next week. So make sure that you like or follow. Until then, may you be blessed with abundance of peace and radical self-love.